Hi, it's Gareth here from freefitnessguru.com. Just sitting here on a Sunday afternoon making some videos for you guys on fitness and fight training. Just having a cup of tea, ginseng tea while I'm at it. Now, some time ago I stopped training at my old gym. Well, I had trained for 25 years, which was the Youth Town gym at Nelson Street in Auckland. And subsequently that gym's been shut down. They had a rifle range underneath, and they found out the gym had been contaminated with lead. So my understanding is it may not reopen, but I'll have to check it out. It was a really good gym years ago. They had two training areas there. It was a machine area and a free weights area. There's also a heated pool, squash courts, basketball, all sorts of stuff. But I'll get on to them next week and find out if they're going to reopen it or not. But I stopped training there because they got a new gym instructor there. Changed a lot of the equipment, and I had my benches up to 400 pounds on the machine. I'd load it up with extra weight, and I was actually very happy on that. I'd do my bench sets, and then I'd go on to the lat pull down. So it was a push pull routine that really worked for me. I don't think it would work for everybody, but for my particular frame and structure, that equipment really worked well. Excuse me. So anyway, I stopped training there, and I got myself a bunch of kettlebells, and I learned how to use them off videos from Steve Cotter and other people. And I love kettlebell training. Gives you strength and endurance and some cardio depending upon how you choose to train with the things. What I have found is the workouts with kettlebells are generally shorter than with free weights, because I think it's the endurance factor thrown in. The kettlebells are harder to train with. They're more taxing, I think is an appropriate way to say it. And they're also quite different from free weights. Certainly you can train with both. Anyway, so for the last few years, it's probably getting on to 4 or 5 years now, I've been training exclusively with kettlebells, sandbag, and weight vests. And I initially set out to talk about weight vests in this video, so I'm going to. And my first weight vest was an 18 kilo Chinese vest, which cost me, I think, probably about $100, just under $100, I think. If I remember correctly, it was some time ago now. And it's a totally new kind of training to me. I have been in the army and trained with a pack, but the weight vest is totally different from a pack because it's ergonomic, so it balances the weight on the front and back of your body. Excuse me. Just because it's ergonomic doesn't mean that it's comfortable, and you'll find that for the first hour it's comfortable and you can walk with that vest without experiencing pain. But after an hour you'll start to experience occlusion, which is cutting off of circulation in your arms. You'll start getting a bit of pain in the top of your shoulders and in your traps, and depending on your footwear you might start really feeling those bones in the soles of your feet. And then as the time goes on, I find that the 1 hour point and the 3 hour point are kind of cut-offs no matter how much weight I'm using. At 3 hours, that's generally when it becomes purgatory, and it's continuously a real effort to just keep going, and it's painful. Your arms are numb, your shoulders are screaming it with lactic acid, your feet will hurt, and your brain will be saying stop. Okay, but then you push it. The longest I've done is 5 hours in that vest. It just feels so good to get home and throw it off and just collapse onto the bed. But it's a magnificent workout. I highly recommend weight vest training. Okay, so I did that for a few years, and I kind of do one of these workouts whenever I could. I found that it's best to start at about 4 in the morning. I live in the city. 4 a.m. there's no traffic, there's no one staring at you. Occasionally, yes, people come up and ask you if it's a bulletproof vest or something stupid, but generally most people just ignore you. So yeah, I've done that training for 5 years, and a couple of years ago I decided to get the heaviest vest on the market, which I think you'll either get one from mir.com or from weightvest.com, and they have vests that go up to 140 pounds. They also have weighted belts and weighted shorts. With the Mir equipment you can actually go up to 200 pounds of weight. My vest goes up to 140, okay, but I'm in New Zealand, and they had a sale on the vests. I think they were about they were pretty cheap. They're about $34 or something plus postage. So I ordered it, but I couldn't get it with the weight because it would have cost me $1,000 to ship it from America to New Zealand. So I bought the vest by itself, and I didn't know where to get the weight from. I sort of thought, well, I could hire some dude that does metal work to cast me some weights, or maybe we could cut some off some rebar. And that vest sat in its box for about 2 years because I didn't have the weight. And then finally, about a year back, one of the local fitness suppliers started selling weight vests, and they also had the individual weights. Excuse me. So I thought, okay, well, I'll have to give it a shot and see if their weights fit into my vest. And I think I bought one by itself and tested it, and it fitted perfectly. However, it's a little bit lighter than the Mir weights. So I bought as many as I could to fit into the slots. I think there are 46 pockets. But using those weights, my vest can go up to 100 pounds, okay? And at the moment I've got it loaded at 70, but I have used it with the old vest on top. So I've done a hike with 100 pounds. And I think I managed to go for an hour. That's, it was okay. Just remember, the Special Forces guys, they go for a day of that weight, 2 or 3 days. Not all the time, okay, but it is possible to do that. And the objective with weight vest training is strength, endurance. The occlusion also causes a growth hormone response. So there are things to be careful for with weight vest training. You got to watch your knees in particular, and I have had a problem with that. If you overtrain in the thing, you will end up with sore knees, and the best solution is to strengthen your knees with training on a bicycle. Okay. What else can I say? There don't appear to be any books actually specifically on weight vest training. I did write one, but I kind of copied a lot of the material from a Special Forces training program online, and I thought I'd better take the book down or I'll get in trouble. So there are a few websites out there with tactical programs for people preparing to get into Special Forces. You'll find that those programs involve ruck training. Just substitute the ruck training for... Sorry, I've got a big fucking fly in my room. Substitute the ruck training for your weight vest training. Okay, and there you have your weight vest training program, because the weight vest is actually much safer than training with a ruck anyway. And there is now quite a few programs that incorporate ruck training for people preparing to get into the Special Forces. So that's what I recommend you look for when putting together your training program. The programs are already there, and they will integrate the weight vest training with weights and other cardio, and it's all set out perfectly over most of them over 2 or 3 month time period, and then you can recycle through them, or you can use an alternative program that's more advanced afterwards. Where to get your weight vest from? As I said, I recommend either weightvest.com or Mir, MIR. Initially, to get a cheap one, there's no problem, nothing wrong with just getting a cheap Chinese vest off eBay or somewhere else, okay? Don't be sucked in by the expensive guys telling you that the Chinese ones will fall apart. I've had mine for about 5 years. It's in just as good a condition as the expensive one I bought. What else can I tell you? Cleaning your vest, just don't bother to clean it. Okay, I don't, but what can you do? I mean, my old one's full of iron sand, and it's going to rust if I clean it. It smells. You know, what can I do? I could hose it down, but I'm not going to. I just wear an old t-shirt when I train in it. Feet, footwear. I have trained in sand shoes, and I've trained in boots. In the army, you're going to train in padded boots. I know when I was in the army, I bought some special inner soles with arch supports, and those were fantastic. I highly recommend those. Not the soft foam ones. Get the proper orthopedic arch supports for your footwear. I would suggest that you try both boots and sand shoes, just to mix it up for your feet. Trust me, the padding on sand shoes, once you've hiked with a weight vest for a couple of hours, it feels like your bones are rubbing on the footpath. If blisters are a problem, you can try 2 pairs of socks, of thick socks. That was another army trick we used to do, and I never got blisters, so I recommend that. And if you do get blisters, best thing is to stop. And you probably won't get blistering anywhere else in your body, because unlike a pack, the weight vest is ergonomically designed. Yeah, I can't really think of much else to say about weight vests. They will increase your bone density, they'll increase your stamina and overall endurance. Thanks a lot.